Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? It is Monday, and we are back in the Marriage Shop. Welcome. I'm Mike. This is Wendy, and it's a spring Monday. I love every day of spring, but
Really?
Monday it just makes Monday a little bit better that it is in like the springtime. You know,
Yeah, but the weather doesn't feel like spring.
Georgia is acting up a little bit right now. By this time, we're supposed to be like, easily in the 70s on the regular basis. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
But it is there's a little nip in the air, and pollen and nip don't go in the same spaces, right? If I have pollen on my truck, I need heat.
Yeah, it's more than a
Heat.
nip. Yeah, nip, gnats, and pollen. It's that time of year.
Nip
And
gnats.
I think that Georgia, especially where we are, it's kind of a love-hate relationship with the spring. We get a teaser. I think like right after Groundhog Day, we get a teaser, and then it's like, oh, and everybody's like, oh, it's gonna be like this forever, and it's never gonna get cold again. And I'm like, nope.
Let's run down to Home
You
Depot and
just
plant
gotta
flowers.
wait for it.
Yeah.
Don't get distracted by the bees. The bees are confused.
They're confused. And so, yeah, it's funny because it never fails. Things start blooming, everything's popping, and then bam,
Freeze.
freeze.
Yep.
Without fail.
You have to protect your tender plants. That we find ourselves. You did a good job last year.
Wendy had me out. So you're supposed to, cover your plants with plastic or whatever to kind of keep them from being exposed to the frost. Well, Wendy had a Japanese maple tree
Yes.
that she wanted to protect. A whole Japanese maple tree, like all of it. So I got out big giant trash bags and cut them and taped them together and crafted what is effectively a car cover for this tree.
Yeah, and it worked.
Save the tree.
I know. Herb 3.0 made it another year. I think it's going to be a strong year.
Herb 3.0.
It's good. So,
So-
hey, Lisa McNeil and Pebbles Johnson, Dana Stokes,
Hey.
Byron Jackson. Always glad when you guys join us.
What's up,
and
everybody?
I don't know. Maybe it's the whole East Coast because it looks like New Jersey feels like they're still in winter. It's 34 degrees, and Virginia,
34
yeah,
degrees.
and Virginia doesn't feel like spring either.
Yeah, and we have our daughter up in New York. She was telling me it was pretty cold. I think it was in the 30s yesterday, maybe. But so okay, I mean, maybe I should stop complaining, maybe, but I won't. I will not stop complaining. But no, it was a beautiful day though. Still,
Yeah.
It was nice, but just a
Yeah.
little add some wind. It's cold, so
It's cold, or
Yeah.
stand in the shadow. I mean,
Or stand in the
it's one of
shadow.
those things. But
Yeah.
we're glad to be home, and we can talk about that because we were in Los Angeles last week. We were on a whole other coast,
Yeah.
on the West Coast, and it was nice.
it was nice. Allow me to go ahead and just flex my new favorite T-shirt.
oh,
This T-shirt here,
I thought a picture was
this
going to
thing is
come up.
nice. No, this
It
thing
is nice.
You just can't appreciate it unless you can touch
I
that, right?
know it's substantial.
It's substantial. This right here is all like three-dimensional and everything. So
Mm-hmm.
we had an opportunity to so we get to remember in LA. Well, specifically it was in
Torrance.
Torrance, right, just south of LA.
Yep.
But
the Redondo Beach area.
yeah, great people down there.
Yes.
And so, not to be, not to be mistaken. I mean, we love our East Coast people, Pebbles Johnson,
and everybody
and
in Norfolk
everybody
that
else.
came out.
And of course, our
Yes.
Texas people.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Wherever
But-
we go, we love those people. So
BJ,
we take
Dana.
all of you guys with us.
Yeah. So, because we were actually in Houston, a couple of years ago. We were in Sugarland, right?
Yep.
Anywho, this shirt right here, like I'm a Laker fan, in case y'all didn't know. And so we had an opportunity, the event was going on. Saturday night is date night. As it happened, Golden State was in town.
Yep.
What?
5:30.
Are you serious? 5:30. So we got done at 5,
Yes.
and then boom, we were gone. Let's go. Let go. You see what he did right there? Put that Creole on it.
They did.
Listen, yeah, it was a great opportunity. Even though I have to say I was a little surprised at how
Calm.
calm it was. It was. I mean, literally, I'm not lying, y'all. Like at certain times during the game,
Yeah.
we could have been like LeBron, and he looked up like what?
Who is that?
I kid you not. should have done it. I wasn't thinking.
Yeah, no,
Anyway.
we had a great time, and and the people were amazing. So we always appreciate the opportunity to share our story, share God's word, and minister to couples. It's a unique opportunity to do it, and we're always humbled by it. And we never know what the vibe is going to be. We never know, what's happening in any city that we visit. We're always eagerly anticipating what it's going to be, meeting the people, learning a little bit about their culture, learning a little bit about things to do and
Yeah.
getting to explore. That has been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun. And
Yeah.
so America is diverse and complex, right?
It is.
But all you know for sure is that you're gonna discover something different. It's just a matter of what that different thing is going to be. And so, but what the common thing that we discover is that people are just amazing everywhere we go. Lots of support.
Yeah.
Mad cool. So that's it.
Yeah.
So I see David Tyson is here, new to the Marriage Shop. Welcome.
Oh,
Welcome,
yeah.
David.
Welcome, David.
Good to see you.
Yeah. The other thing is, okay, so since it's not feeling like spring
Yeah.
where most of you are, where would you rather be? So I'd love for you to drop that in the chat, in the comments. Where would you want to be right now? If you could be anywhere, where would you want to be? I just let that one hang out there because, a lot of people, when we're here on the East Coast, they're like, oh, it'd be nice to be in LA, where it never rains.
I must say the weather was impeccable. I mean, like we left here, the pollen had just started popping. And at least say you already know. We know somewhere that sounds like secrets. All right, so in Jamaica.
Better in Jamaica.
So, here, I mean, there was pollen everywhere and it was just starting to get crazy. And we went to LA. It was, I guess it's still spring,
Yeah.
but it was different. There was like no humidity
No.
and the temperature was, it actually, there's something about like mid 50s
Yeah.
feels different there. I was walking around
It felt warmer.
in the morning.
It felt warmer. Hey, Lakeisha.
Crazy.
Glad you could
Hey,
join
Lakeisha.
us. Yes.
Yeah, welcome.
Oh, Sarah Peoples would rather
In
be in
Dubai.
Dubai.
Wow, you went,
Yes.
you swung for the fences. Sarah, goodness. Like,
Mrs. Worldwide.
I thought she was going to say, I don't know, the mountains, Virginia Beach,
Yeah.
Asheville.
Yeah. And of the places we've been, we travel quite a bit. People always comment about how much we travel. And I think we like to travel. Traveling in and of itself is work. But going to different places, meeting people, learning about the culture, relaxing,
Yeah.
taking a break, that's the part that I love. And so, yeah.
Yeah, well,
I don't know where I would rather be right now.
I don't even care, honestly. As long as you're there, it doesn't really matter. If it's cold, we'll stay inside and chill. If it's hot, we'll stay inside and cool down. Whatever. We'll go
That's
to the
funny.
beach.
Yeah.
And it's funny because as the beach is not necessarily my favorite place to be, only because sand. Sand is everywhere. And
Yeah.
and it reminds me of so in the Bible where God's gonna make, it was Abraham, like it was, well, actually starts God. Never mind. But wasn't somebody grains of sand? Anyway, all I'm saying is this. It's a lot of sand out there, y'all, and it finds its way into everything.
It does. It's pretty incredible. It's magic.
It's magic, and it doesn't matter. You can take your shoes off. You can try. Take shoes off.
Yeah.
But you dragging that sand somewhere. You can try to rinse and do the whole thing. Nah, sand, it's clinging to your heels. You think you got
Oh,
rid of
my
the sand?
goodness.
Anyway, that's another story. I digress.
Lisa says we already know, so we can fill that in with it's better in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Byron Jackson says Dallas.
Dallas. I love Dallas.
Yeah, Dallas is good.
As long as
Dubai is somewhere we haven't been. It's definitely on the list to go, I think. I've seen some great pictures of people having good times in Dubai,
Yeah,
in the UAE.
For sure.
Yes.
I would love to go back to Alaska and dive
Yeah.
a little deeper into that.
Alaska was great.
And we'll be in New York soon.
Yes, we will in a
So,
few weeks.
Yeah. Anywho, so
Seems like that went fast.
it did. So anyway, we could do this all night, y'all.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to come back. Last week we talked about actually week before last now.
Week before last, right? So we took a break last week. Hopefully, you got a chance to catch up on some videos or look at a few pictures or posts. Perhaps you've been seeing that we are raising money for Alzheimer's awareness and to end Alzheimer's and all types of dementia. So we highly encourage you. We'd love for you to join us in that fight. If you give more than a $50 donation, then we'll find a way to get you some cookies.
Hey,
If you give less than a $50 donation, then we really, really, really thank you and appreciate you and appreciate your support. Every dollar makes a difference.
yeah, absolutely. And but these cookies are like, we got to figure out a way to ship them without getting them break. I mean, these cookies
Yeah.
are amazing. They are like made by hand
Yes.
by a friend of ours, Marcy. But wow,
They're incredible.
they're incredible.
Really beautiful.
We got to figure that out.
Yes, yes. So,
Okay.
so those are all of our obligatory announcements, I think.
Okay. So
We don't have any sponsors. If you want to sponsor the Merit Shop,
wait a minute.
we'd be happy to share your product.
We would
We
actually.
would. If that's something, if you want us to represent your job, your event, your whatever, and you want to sponsor us in that effort, we're happy to do
We're
it.
happy to do that. Y'all know the Lakers are cutting no checks. In fact, in that in that vein, I may never wear this shirt again until L.A. Dallas Cowboys, all of them start cutting checks.
Oh my goodness. Hey, Ashley Key, glad you
Getting
could
all
stop everything that you're doing and join us here in the magic.
What's up, Ashley?
The magic shop.
Oh no! Oh no!
Oh, I heard that song.
Get
I
this
was
thing-
like, if we could remix the
Get
magic
this
shop
thing
and make it the
back.
marriage shop.
No, we're not going to remix the. Get this thing back on
Welcome
the
to the
tracks.
marriage
No, no, no.
All right.
forget
so,
everything you heard.
Well, when we were here last, we were talking about menopause, and it was really kind of a quick, fast. Let's define it. Let's talk about some
Yeah.
symptoms, how to cope. At a very introductory level. We didn't really dive deep, but we just talked about common experiences, and hopefully could share some things that might be helpful to those of you who are in that season of your life. But the truth is, at any age or stage, we're in a season, and we're never alone, right? So it seems like when you're in that, when you're engaged,
Yeah.
everybody's married or divorced.
Yeah.
When you're married, everybody's single.
Yep.
And so, you don't have kids, everybody else has kids. When you decide to have kids, your kids might be graduating college. I mean,
Yeah.
it's an interesting time.
And when you're struggling, everybody else is doing great.
Yes, that's
Right.
inevitable. Yep.
Yeah. At least that's what it feels like.
That's what it feels
Right.
like.
But
Yes.
not necessarily the case.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to know. So the Marriage Shop, we kind of cover so many things. We're all over the map. And so it's not always the struggle. Sometimes it's the victory. It's the cool things, right?
Yeah.
But tonight we're going to talk a little bit about struggle.
Struggle,
And,
yeah.
And so Wendy gave me, she authorized me to just ask her, one of these questions we saw off the top. So I told you it was going to be one thing. It's going to be another. So,
Wow. Okay.
but don't worry, you can handle it. So y'all check this out. And I'll just break down the scenario. I won't even read it verbatim. Okay, so here's a question. How do you manage life, conflict? I just say, how do you manage life with a spouse who has a history of some type of pain or trauma? That could be from childhood, or it could be from previous adult relationships, right? And so let me elaborate a little bit, because oftentimes when we get into either arguments or we'll face challenges where it seems like you're dealing with something that you had nothing to do with, or something that you do or something you say may trigger or ignite something that you didn't see coming. And next thing you know, you're dealing with something that feels really, it seems like it's impossible to deal with, because it's like what I'm seeing doesn't quite match up with what I said, or you're either blaming me or looking at me through the lens of what happened to you in the past. And it seems like it's impossible to deal with that sometimes. And so a lot of people face that,
Yeah.
the impact of past experience on current relationship. So I thought that was a good question, and we should probably go into it a little bit.
What's the question?
The question is, how do you manage that?
How do you manage when somebody is, to you, obviously dealing with some other things or trauma from their past, but they're not forthcoming with it?
Not obviously, right? Because you will
okay.
not
So
even
you don't know.
you won't even know you're dealing with that.
Oh, I see.
Right?
Okay.
And so, oftentimes you just don't know. You're receiving. It seems like the energy that you're getting is a little intense for what the situation might be, or for what you might have done, or maybe you're even, you're under scrutiny for something
Yeah.
that you believe you shouldn't be scrutinized for.
Yeah, I think, and it's funny, right? Because I say it's funny. It's difficult to really have full understanding of what somebody else is experiencing, even when they're able to verbalize it. So we often say, well, just tell me, or, I wish you would communicate with me,
Yeah.
or share with me, or open up. And that's easier said than done for some people. And of course, in this case, depending on what the trauma is,
Yeah.
the different things impact us in different ways, right? And so a light example I can give of that is as we, were married and living life and getting to know each other and different things. And it was like I was in the closet doing something, and you came in.
Oh yeah.
And like-
I'm like, hey, what you doing?
I think there's enough room in this closet. And I'm like, oh, hold on. No closets.
Yeah.
No closets. There's not really any traumatic event that happened to me in a closet. But scary movies, people are in a closet. People get attacked in closets. Closets have one way in and one way out. I mean, it's a whole safety thing. And so when I responded to you and I'm like, no closets, you're like, come here, girl. It's just a closet, And it's
Yeah.
like, wait, hold on. This is a little deeper. So I can't really explain where the origin of that is or where that lies. It could be a number of things that I've taken in or have influenced me over the years.
Yes.
But that's the way that it manifests. And until you try to come at me in the closet, it wasn't something to discuss.
That's interesting. That's very interesting, because as I listen to you say that now, it's clear to me that the thing to do in that moment was to say, like, what's going on? You good?
right,
What tell me about what we're seeing here, what your response is. But I was like, shh, come on, girl, it's me.
It's just a
And
closet.
this is our closet, So that's very interesting. But it also brings about a great point where oftentimes you don't know that you're dealing with someone's past.
Yes.
A lot of times you do. And if you do know, it's important to account for that. Literally in every conversation when things seem to be going sideways. But let's say, for example, you don't know, but you get some clue, right? My clue was she had some I'm pretty sure that day, Wendy, like, it was a whole tackle situation. It was just like, Rod, get off
you out the
me,
way.
get away, Rod. Wendy was
Like
not
a linebacker.
It was like a linebacker. She got the strength of 10 men, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
She was just like, I'm getting out of this. And so that should have been a trigger for me to be like, okay. Like,
Right.
tell me about that. What's going on? So
Yeah.
so over the years, I kind of messed with her about the closet, right? But I understood that the closet was not to be really, really fooled with. And so, but every now and then you're going to get some type of sign, some signal, some information that lets you know that what you're dealing with might go beyond this moment. And I think a lot of times, selfishness gets in the way, like desire gets in the way, and we just kind of want what we want, and we don't understand why it is. Like, you want you to give me what I want, or why it is we can't stop having this same conversation over and over again, or why it is we can't get out of this loop, this conflict we're in, right?
Yeah.
And probably it's because we haven't adequately either dealt with something that's there from the past, or because those things are notoriously very difficult to quote unquote deal with, to fix.
Yeah.
So it's not about fixing, but I think what we're talking about probably is, as we kind of go into this, we're gonna find ourselves at empathy.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so, because I think if there's anything that I can challenge you with, it is to let go of any frustration or resentment you might have with not being able to understand, right? Or of that person not being able to clearly communicate
Yeah.
what is happening with them. So patience comes to mind and empathy comes to mind, because what happens is it's like, okay, but it's me. Like you said, let me in. This is something, I mean, you could tell me anything and people believe that. But for the person who has experienced any trauma, it's more than just words, right? That inherent trust that comes with being in a relationship for a long time, being married, having no secrets, if that is the agreement that you've made in your marriage.
Yeah.
All of those things come into play. But like you said, if you're being attentive, then you notice a change or a shift. Oh, everything is good, but not that,
Yeah.
right? And in that moment, yielding to that. So patience, grace, time, really are the things that you should allow. And then following that is deeper conversations and more understanding. But you cannot expect that you're going to fully understand your spouse or anybody else, right? Because they're not you. You can understand maybe what they've experienced, but unless you're them, you can't really know for sure what it does to them.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. You can know some facts, but it's very difficult to really know at that really raw level what experience means, but what someone's life experience means. But I can tell you this: everyone that you meet, to include your spouse, has a history. And the crazy thing about history, and I want y'all to hear me on this, and I may have said this recently, but I think it bears repeating. Who you become as a person is driven in a lot of ways by factors that are outside of your control.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not talking about you, the adult you right now. I'm talking about the you that was born wherever you were born, to whomever you were born to, coming through whatever thing you came through, whatever neighborhood you lived in, school you went to, influences, aunts and uncles and classmates and cousins, and
Yeah.
all these things are happening, and you don't have a say necessarily about any of them.
That's true.
Right? And so by the time you wake up and you say, man, I think I have a say about whatever that thing might be, generally speaking, that light comes on. If it comes on at all, you're going to be a teenager before the light comes on.
That's true.
Right? And so now the foundational elements of this person have been created. So, for example, if you grew up in a home with an unstable parental situation, right? Drug abuse, alcohol abuse, very common.
Physical abuse.
Right? What's going to happen is human beings have an inherent desire to connect with other people. But if things happen that disrupt that ability to connect, say in the case of, situations we just mentioned, well, that person is going to have attachment challenges. Because where do you learn how to trust, like just without reservation?
Yeah.
Well, you learn that at home with your parents. And so if your parents don't deliver that environment to you, the output, and I'm oversimplifying it, but the output is very likely you'll be someone who doesn't necessarily easily trust or attach to people, even though you want to, but you've had pain attached to that. Right? And so because you've had pain attached to it, it's like, I want it, but that might hurt me.
Yeah.
So you pull back.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but that person still wants to be connected, still wants to have a life, still wants to have a spouse, all that, a family. And so you meet this person, you married that person, and you wonder why they can't quite trust. They can't just quite be at peace. How much of their story do you know?
Yeah, I think that's a good question to lead with, right? I mean, how much of their story do you know, and what don't you know? I mean, it doesn't matter if you've been together for 55 years.
Yeah.
In that time, you only know what's been shared with you, right? And so we often talk about, well, you should know me better than anyone, or this is my closest relationship, and, we share everything. But if I'm being honest, there's always still maybe one or two things that you just don't share with anyone, right? And so it's when those things have an impact either on you, your ability to be in relationship with other people, or on your relationship, that signals that you actually need to get some help or do something about it. So it's not it's easy to sweep things under the rug until somebody moves the rug. And then it's like, oh, or there's a new rug or something
Yeah.
happens. And
Yeah.
it's like, look at all that stuff in there. Now we have to deal with it all at once.
Yep.
Yeah.
And what most people do is try to drag the rug back into place, buy a new rug, do all the same things that they've done over the years, because a lot of times things are undealt with because they're difficult to deal with, or because you found a way to survive. Right?
Yeah.
Young people in particular, highly adaptable.
Yes.
And in fact, some young people grow up in environments where they don't even know that their environment is dysfunctional until they're out of it and looking at it in the rearview mirror. Like, wow, that was profoundly dysfunctional.
I mean, I think that's
Right?
true, like for everybody, right? I mean, it is functional while you're in it, or seemingly so,
Yeah.
until you have exposure and experiences with other things.
Yeah, no question.
Yeah.
But even when you recognize that something is dysfunctional, it doesn't necessarily mean it is easy to then repair it,
That's true.
because we establish a pattern of behaviors and a pattern of thinking and a pattern of a way of doing things and seeing the world, right? So
Yeah, yeah. And a few
Yeah.
weeks ago, we talked about what it's like to become your parents, and even if you're not trying to become who your parents were, that gravitational pull is strong.
Yeah.
Genetics are strong and play a powerful role in how you live out your life. Anna Griffin, glad you joined us.
What's up,
Michelle
Anna?
Moore Wilson, always glad when you can drop in. You're a
Hey,
busy lady.
for sure.
I love that Lisa shared that two things that kind of trigger her in her own relationship. And, the assumption that it gets on your husband's nerves, or it's annoying, or it's frustrating, or different things. We could name all of those things, but it comes from a very logical or rational place oftentimes, right? And so if you had a past incident, and something has occurred, then it makes sense, right? We can logically draw a correlation between this thing and that. Where it gets tricky is when there's not a straight line, right? I can't really explain where this is coming from. It's just something that's there, and perhaps there's more work that I need to do in order for me to be able to meet you in a place where we can talk about it.
yeah, the challenge is a lot of people avoid doing that work.
Yes.
Right. And really, I would say it gets tricky when there's not a straight line, but even when there is a straight line, right? Because in the case of what Lisa described here, as far as being afraid somebody will break into the house,
Yeah.
right? That is, and you see this a lot with PTSD patients, right? They are at the very least going through checking doors and locks.
Twice.
And twice, and on more, cases where it's a little bit more severe, they're outside walking around, checking outside, making sure things are safe, and they're doing that several times a night.
Yeah.
Because when the way that trauma works specifically is when something happens and it's either your life is threatened, or you see somebody, even you can watch somebody go through a traumatic experience, and it's almost like it's seared into your brain, the danger, and not only the danger, but all the circumstances surrounding that danger. And so if you're dealing with a spouse who has dealt with trauma, then you probably know this to be true. But when certain things happen, certain things may trigger that feeling, and sometimes you don't know, because the brain is so powerful, in fact, that you can be sitting around and say a white cat walks by the window. You never really notice that white cat, but the next thing you know, somebody's kicking your door down. What'll happen over time is that white cat could, in fact, be associated with danger, and you never really picked up on it. It could be smells. Smells are really profound.
Yeah.
Time of day, temperature, certain words and phrases, certain people, the whole nine, right, can really trigger you from the standpoint of trauma. So if you're the spouse who has not experienced that, and you're watching this take place, you may be inclined to say, look, we're good. You may even buy all the stuff, security and ring, and get a big old
cameras
Rottweiler and all that. Like,
remote
we're
control
good,
locks,
right?
yes.
Logically, you recognize and understand that. But there's part of your brain that just wants to react, and is going to react when under certain circumstances. There certainly treatment can be really effective to dial that down.
Yeah.
But I say dial it down because Some people never get to the point where it's eliminated. So I want you to take that example and just apply it to all these things in people's lives, because it doesn't have to be that somebody kicked your door in. It doesn't have to be that somebody chased you around in a car or stalked you. It could be that you gave your entire heart to somebody. You trusted them with everything and they used you.
Yeah,
Right.
that's common.
It could be that you watch your parent go through that same thing, hurt after hurt after hurt. And at a certain point, your brain begins to make the adjustment. I'm going to protect you. And you won't even have to do anything. You don't lift the finger. I got it. It's like automatic.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, it's interesting because the things that, you talk about triggering, a response, right? That is really kind of in your memory center, right? So whatever you associate with that thing, whether it's a movie or a song or whatever, can tap into and awaken different areas of your brain, right? And so it's kind of like, I know that it's not raining outside, but I have this fear of thunderstorms. I could live, anticipating that when the next thunderstorm is going to come, I can check the weather forecast. I can get an atlas. I can watch the Weather Channel. I can do all kinds of things in an effort to at least be aware of when it's coming. And that's only one mode and level of preparedness. It's one thing to recognize when something is coming. It's another to then really kind of deal with how you respond to that thing when it happens, right? Or if it ever happens. And so as you kind of look at those things, it's like, man, if you just tell me, if you just open your heart, as my husband, you can trust me and you tell me everything that has ever happened to you that makes you feel embarrassed or ashamed or hurt. Well, that's not really a realistic conversation. I don't think, at least we don't do that. We rarely get to a place of just tell me everything.
Well,
because
wait a minute.
Yes.
It seems like I distinctly remember you doing just that. No, I mean, at some point in the early days, tell me everything, right? But it wasn't about the things that hurt you. And by the way, I would recommend that you not have that conversation.
No.
Like, tell me everything that's ever hurt you. Right. Never. No, don't do that. I wouldn't go fishing, wouldn't go on an exploration or expedition to dig up things, because some things you may never know. But there are some things that will inevitably work their way to the surface. And when they do, what happens then? Yeah. Because oftentimes it's difficult to understand. It's difficult to know what to do, how to help. And we always want to help. We want to do something.
We want to do something.
Sometimes there's nothing specifically that you can do except listen and understand. So if something finds its way to the surface, perhaps it is time for a conversation. What's going on? Tell me about that. But once we know, then it's a matter, this is where the empathy piece kicks in.
Okay.
Because a lot of times we know things, and once we know, oftentimes there's a clock that begins ticking. The clock that says, you should be over this thing by now.
Yeah, and that's a dangerous clock. So
Absolutely.
That's the thing. You don't get to hold the clock or manage the time for your spouse to heal or to address something or to move on from it.
Come on, baby. That's like the you just like put a nail in it. I was about to work it a little bit more.
Oh, no need to work it. You don't hold that clock. You don't get to say how long it should take somebody else to do something.
Yeah, you don't. But let me say it in this way. Right? When the injury or the insult or the whatever it is not your own, it is much easier to like believe that somebody should be over it.
Yeah.
Right? Because you don't feel that pain. If somebody breaks a leg, I feel sorry for you. But at 6 weeks, I'm like, okay, what's the hold up? Let's go. There's a lot of work yet to be done.
That's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, and no one, I believe most of us don't do this maliciously, but oftentimes if it's not your thing, it just doesn't feel the same. And the level of empathy and care is not as high. So we have to actually, I think, work harder to stay with it longer, to understand more and more deeply. And when we see things recurring, to not necessarily take on that feeling of, man, you should be over this. Yeah. Like, I'm not that guy.
Yeah.
right? I'm not him. I'm me. And you're good and you're safe here. Well, how traumatic, how difficult, how painful was that thing that that last person did? Sometimes, and you may have heard me say this too, but I think this bears repeating. Sometimes you have to help repair things that you didn't break. Now, you've also heard us say it's not your job to fix your spouse, and that
Yeah.
is true. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying is the repair work sometimes is just you being still.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Being still and loving and accepting them for who they are today, right? So this thing about embarrassment or shame or trauma, it's almost like there's a bookmark in the point in the person's life where it occurs, right? And so they can sometimes avoid turning to that page. They can throw the whole book away altogether. They can forget that they had a page marked, and then something can bring it back up, right? And so the idea is to address it with the care, the attention, the patience, the time that it needs today, regardless of what you think is normal, what you think is reasonable, what you think is rational. The other person doesn't get to decide.
Yeah.
And so empathy, you can start out being empathetic, and that can slowly become apathy, where you're just kind of exhausted from, I'm trying to understand, I'm trying to be here for you, I'm trying to take care of whatever fear you have. And then it's kind of like, you have worn me out, I'm exhausted, and it doesn't seem like it's getting anywhere. There's something that you need to do, you need to get over it. And that's how empathy can become apathy. And it's just like, man, I've done everything that I know to do. And the truth is, there may not be anything for you to do.
Which is really difficult for some people. There's nothing you can do
Yeah.
except be, right? And so this is where we get into the word, right? When Paul tells us that he in effect, he glories in weakness, right? Like when the understanding is that when I'm weak, I am strong, because there's some things that only God can fix. There's some things only the Holy Spirit can do. And oftentimes we are so pressed to do something, to fix something, to move this thing along. It's not our thing to move. Right? It's just not.
Yeah.
So, and so it's very interesting. You say that empathy can become apathy, and I wonder, because sometimes there's some things. It's easy to visualize. It's easy to understand how you would behave if your spouse, say, is that young person who was traumatized or hurt. If a young person comes to you right now and tells you your spouse's story, like this happened to me yesterday, this has been happening to me for the last 5 years, 10 years, whatever. If someone walks up to you and says that, you know what your instant response is probably going to be? Empathy,
Yeah.
kindness,
Yeah.
right?
Support,
Support,
understanding,
understanding,
love.
love. Like your spouse might be that person, like today.
Yeah,
So-
I don't think that we often see our spouses with the eyes of, the little girl or the little boy who might be inside.
Yeah.
And some people often reference that. I'm talking to the little girl that's in there. I'm talking to the
The
little man,
the little boy, and I'm like, ain't no little boy in here.
Yeah, yeah. And
Right,
it's like,
but-
man, but because we ourselves have shut that person off or shut them down or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Metaphorically. And so it's this whole idea of, if I could see you when you experienced it, if I knew you, if there was something I could have done then I would have done that. But that's really not the question before you today. The question before you today is, what can I do now? Right? What can I do for you now? Because we can't go back in history and change what has occurred. We cannot change the meaning of something that someone has made meaning of, and we can't change experiences. But what we are called to do is to be the things that we're called to be to our spouses today and going forward, right? Maybe I wasn't empathetic enough. Maybe I need to, really kind of step back, slow down, and really kind of allow myself to see and understand better and deeper. Really kind of taking a look at that. One example of the empathy apathy train, and what I'm talking about is if your spouse has ever fallen, like tripped over something and fallen.
Mm-hmm.
My husband has fallen many times,
Um,
and
I mean,
sometimes in
maybe.
some hilarious ways, right? And so the immediate response is never is that is funny, right? But sometimes the first thing that comes out is laughter because it's like, wow, you should have seen how that looked. And then the next thing that comes is, oh, but are you okay? I mean, if I'm being honest, it's not always, are you okay? And then we can laugh about it. Sometimes the first thing that comes out is,
I
wow.
hope you're about to make a really amazing point right now. This better be a
Well,
good
my
one.
point is empathy and apathy, right? Because even if I counter my laughter with "Are you okay?" and trying to help you up, it's like get away from me, don't touch me now,
Are you talking about me?
yeah, or in
Oh,
people in general,
yeah.
it's like
Mm-hmm.
no, you laughed. I could have been over here bleeding out. I could have, sustained the injury and you laughed. Not because, and again, it's hard in the moment to be like, I'm not laughing at you, but it was just so funny. You had to see it. And
Yeah. It's
you're missing and negating that what that person is feeling is not funny in that moment. That's the example that I have right now. Because even like today, I was conflicted. I was like, are you good?
today.
Today, when you
What
were
happened
like,
today?
see, that's what I'm talking about.
What happened today?
The ball.
Oh, the ball. The dog tried to kill me, y'all. The dog tried to kill me. The dog that initially I didn't even want will be the source of my demise. These toys, I knew it's just like everything. The
But
dog,
it was so
it's just like a little
serious.
stealth thing. The dog just takes it and just rolls the
Yeah.
ball ever so
But
silently.
it was a calm moment.
But
We
it
were
wasn't funny.
just kind of vibing. And then next thing you
Not
know,
funny.
it went from happiness to tragedy in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I don't. This, yeah, the
And then
example.
tragedy
It's
averted.
a horrible example. Anyway,
And no, but it's a good
So,
example because there's
right.
no way I could know what you were thinking or feeling in that moment. And falling was real to you. And so everything that your body believed was happening was really happening to you in that instant. What
Yeah.
I get to see has very little to do with what you're actually experiencing. That's why I use that example. Because it was kind of funny.
Y'all got any questions? Anybody got any questions? Throw some questions up in the
Yeah,
chat.
so Ashley
Some
said it's all good until they get up slow. Right.
It's like my life flashed before my eyes for a second, and I recall like I'm like, okay, I'm going backwards a little bit. The next thing I'm gonna hit is glass. Next thing you know, I'm like, well, I'm glad we got the tempered glass. But it all ended well. But
Yeah.
but I think that honestly, for what we're talking about, a lot of times if you see something happening, notwithstanding the laughter, but car accident,
Don't judge.
whatever, like something in real time that you lived through with someone, that's one thing. But what about the things you were not present for?
Yes.
What about the things that you never saw, didn't experience when they happened? So the person that you receive is kind of the healed, patched up, like the new person or the
Yeah.
person that went through, not the person that's going through. Right. So I think that requires a bit more leaning in and trying to understand who it is. And it doesn't really matter if you've been married for 2 years, 5 years, 10, 20 plus.
Yep.
There's so many things that are new that you discover. And this is not about you. Man, I thought I knew everything. Man, how did I miss this?
Right.
There's so much. I think people are shocked at how much there might be to learn about their own spouse over time, right? And even in how people learn so much about themselves
Yeah.
because you think you know. But as I told some folks this weekend, you know less than you think, and that's okay. Our bias is to believe that we know things and to give ourselves more credit than we are due,
Yeah.
right? But I think the word says that we should not think more highly of ourselves than we should. Because I think the truth is that we shouldn't think highly of ourselves at all. Because once you think highly of yourself, once you believe you know, you stop learning, you stop listening, you stop searching, right? And you begin to, now you compare everything to what you know. Your conversations are all about what you think you know versus what you're seeing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, and while it is ideal to be able to wake up every day with a blank slate, right? It's not realistic. And I
blank,
think blank slate in terms of no memory, no bad memories of anything that happened before this moment. If we all were just starting from here, at every point in our life, it would be different,
yeah,
right? And so again, ideal but not real. And reality is that you may be married to someone who experienced something that they didn't believe was traumatic, but definitely had an impact on them.
yeah,
And I love that you said, again, we encourage you to continue to be a student of your spouse. There's always something new to learn because there's always something new happening. We're continually growing and learning as long as we live. So there's
yeah,
no way you could ever fully know me. But if you are someone who does need to do a little more work and a little more reflection on knowing yourself, right? Recognizing that maybe some things are manifesting that you're not even able to articulate or put your finger on, then we highly encourage you to do that work, right? There's something very freeing about being able to identify and see, what things have impacted you that perhaps maybe you've even forgotten or given meaning to things that don't necessarily add up. And being able to do your own work will help the both of you.
yes. Yeah, the only thing I'll say to that is kind of a follow up on what we said earlier in the quiche was saying don't go fishing for trauma, be open to
Yeah.
hearing it as it naturally presents. What you will often find is that things are good and people, some people get curious. They just get on a philosophical journey. Like, I just want to,
Oh, yeah.
I just want to just ask, you just understand me a little better and et cetera. I don't do that kind of work. If life is going well, sometimes you just let life go well,
That's good.
right? Generally speaking, you'll know when it's time to go seeking understanding because there's something that's impacting your ability to live life the way you want to live it, to work the way you want to work, to
Right.
do family and relationship the way you want to do it. So it'll be clear that there's something off, right? And so that's when you want to go looking. All
Yeah,
right?
that's good.
So I saw that Justice Smith dropped in there.
Oh, yes, and Jeannie Bird.
Jeannie Bird.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank
so
you guys for
welcome,
being
y'all.
here. Yeah,
Welcome,
yeah.
welcome. So I think we're going to have to get ready to wrap this thing
Yep,
up.
yep.
Yeah. So anything before we...
No, I
finish?
mean, I think it's good. I think that, in this quest for understanding and for having hope and health in our married lives. I mean, I think that's what it is. We have to be careful to take it step by step. I mean, I think we all want everything to just be great, like with little effort. We want to be able to just close our eyes, snap our fingers, and click our heels and have the perfect relationship and the perfect marriage. And the truth is that it does require some work. Some of it is good work. Some of it is hard work. Some of it is difficult work. But it does require effort. And I think that what we try to do is really spark conversation. Perhaps we introduce things that you had not considered or didn't know. And so it's really just a conversation starter for the week.
That's it. So just understand that the person you married didn't come in with a clean slate any more than you did. How you got through whatever you got through, if you did it and you think you did it successfully, good for you. If your spouse was not able to do the same, or if there's residue, then the work that when he's talking about, there's individual work, but the work of the couple is to love, to give grace, right? And to stand there side by side, to hold that person's hand, hold your spouse's hand through it all, right? Because that may be the thing that they did not have before, and you have it to offer. So with that, I'm going to pray, y'all. Is that good?
Yes.
All right. Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight just thanking you for who you are. Thank you for your grace and your love toward us. God, we just we ask that for anybody who is hurting, God, that you be with them, reveal to them that you are there. And we just thank you in advance for the comfort and the peace that you'll bring, God. Help us to see one another, to pay attention, to be available, God, and to speak a word of kindness and support and love to our spouses. Help us to love in the way that you love us. And we ask that you bless every family here, every couple, every home. Be with them in all that they do. And we'll be sure to give you all the honor, glory, and praise. We thank you, God. We love you. We pray these and all blessings in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Amen. So until next week, have a blessed week. Our new friends in LA, our old friends in New Jersey and New York, our family in Virginia, and anywhere else we've been. We appreciate your guys' support, encouragement, and prayers, and hope that you will continue to rock with us in this way.
Did we leave out? You didn't leave out Texas, did we?
Did I leave out Texas? I mean,
Oh,
I
you
said
said
anywhere
Texas.
that we've lived or been. I mean,
Okay.
we've been a lot of places.
Maryland, D.C., DMV,
Yes.
love y'all. Anyway, so
If you know us and
this
we
is
know
why
you,
this is why you don't call out names.
live.
Don't call out names, y'all.
You can never get them all.
You can never get them all. All right, love y'all. we out.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. It's your boy JC. I'm in the mood, love. Yeah. Lately I've been constantly thinking about you, babe. You drive me crazy, yeah. And girl, I want this. Got me all up in my feelings. Over the feeling, yeah. I knew the first time I laid eyes on you that you would be here forever. I'm not being arrogant, and I still can't take my eyes off you. 'Cause you made me better, so much better. I'm in the mood to love you for a lifetime. I'm in the mood to love you for a lifetime, baby. I love your kindness, I love your confidence. Ooh, you're the finest. So glad you're mine, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't wanna be with nobody else. Give me your love, that's all the wealth I need. Baby, you're priceless to me, yeah. To love you for a lifetime. I'm in the mood to love you for a lifetime, yeah, yeah, yeah. Whoa. Promise I'ma be around, I'ma always hold you down. Won't you come and hold me now? Won't you come and hold me now? I just got a new coupe, yeah, I know I got a roof, but I always keep it down with you, yeah. And I know they see you, girl, you're my queen, and beauty speaks for itself loud and clear, yeah. So throw it in the air. It's the sweetest sound to follow my ear. And I want the world to know I'll love you forever. And that's a long time, babe. But I got time for you, baby. I'm in the mood. Ooh, lifetime, for a lifetime. I'm in the mood to love you, yeah. For a lifetime, baby. Ooh, yeah. For a lifetime, oh, for a lifetime, yeah, yeah.